Greetings, it's Chickadee Chuck with another overdose. This time we're going to take a look at Dave Mustaine and Megadeth.
My name's Dave Mustaine. I play guitar and sing in Megadeth.
I know, Megadeth, right? You've heard of them before, once or twice. One of the biggest metal bands in the entire world. One of the Fabulous Four, or whatever they call them now. Slayer, Metallica, Anthrax, and Megadeth, who will be touring at some point the United States, but, you know, for now, we had to sit down for the 20th anniversary of the Rust in Peace tour here in Austin, Texas. Now, going into this interview, I had interviewed Dave Mustaine several times before, and one thing that I forgot, and I don't know why I forgot this damn thing, is when you prepare for an interview with Dave Mustaine, you don't actually write down any questions, because when you do, you just don't use any of them at all, ever. He is an interesting guy, always a great conversationalist, and has a lot to talk about, but when you are prepped and ready to go, well, you just find out that it just goes where it goes. And that's one of the best things about Dave, is that he knows how to talk and knows what he wants to talk about. This time, we had to talk about something that was really recent in the Megadeth history. And that would be the return of David Ellefson to the band.
That was actually God's work, but, you know, Sean was the one who made all the phone calls with David, and because, you know, I was the last person on earth that thought this was going to happen. I think David was the second to the last person on earth, and you know, Sean's been trying to get this to happen since he first joined Megadeth. You know, I mean, face it, Dave belongs in Megadeth, and there was a period where we were being severely mismanaged by a lot of people, you know, and when you become successful, it's kind of like those little birds on the back of a rhinoceros that pick in their ears, and we had a lot of people doing that and telling us what to do and trying to divide and conquer us, and you know, it caused a lot of damage. You know, people don't see that stuff. All they see is the four guys on stage, or the four people in a picture, or the four guys in the back of a record. You know, they don't know what we go through every day, the things that people say to us that break us down and try and, you know, ruin our spirit. And, you know, it's like someone was just talking to me about another band that was from Los Angeles that's had notorious problems staying together, and every time they do an interview, the interviewer will say, well, so-and-so said something, and then they're back in court again. And it's like, you know, I know people like to talk shit about me. I don't care. Bottom line is, I know who I am, and I like to have fun playing music. I had a pretty rough beginning, but I'm at a great ending, and this tour is really successful. I think that for anybody who has had a problem with forgiveness, I set a pretty good example of what forgiveness looks like. And, you know, unconditional forgiveness, too. You don't just have somebody, you know, sue you to that extent and have that kind of, you know, damage that was inflicted upon me and just, you know, say, oh, it's all okay, unless, you know, divine intervention took place. And I got saved in 2002. Dave's, you know, he's been a Christian his whole life. I didn't know that. We never really talked about it before. And you know, it was just, it's a real cool thing. I don't talk to people about that much because it's none of their business unless they want to know. But I think that it's been really, really positive for everybody to get a fresh look at what can happen if you really have a spirit of forgiveness. You know, I mean, you got to be pissed at somebody, bro. You know it. All your listeners, all your viewers. There's somebody they're holding a grudge with. And you know what? My nephew just had a heart attack and died last week. And he's younger than I was. Boom, gone. I'll never see him again. And you know what? I hardly ever talked to him because he was one of those people in our family that disowned me because I wasn't a Jehovah's Witness. You know, I mean, I should have disowned them. But the thing is, you know, you never know, so you got to always speak to your loved ones kindly because you never know when you're going to see them again. I think that, you know, it certainly has its benefits. You know, if anybody needed to get onto a different path, it was me. I was pretty obnoxious, and I enjoyed it. And, you know, because people enjoyed somebody else being obnoxious and somebody else telling somebody else what a piece of garbage they were, as long as they didn't say it, you know. And bottom line is I was the one that people didn't like after it was over. I think about that poor slob that was on MTV that I used to go after all the time, and people just fueled that thing on, and it was like, I didn't want to say anything, but he just kept asking for it, you know, and you know, it's kind of like, you know, when violent people are around stupid people get hurt. It's not forever. All we need is one solar pulse, and all the drives will be melted. And you know what? It's not forever. Nothing is forever. There's one thing that's forever.
Which is?
God. I mean, everything else is like it's temporary. You know that. You've seen 24. You saw that pulse bomb. Saw those helicopters crashing. So, anyways, I digress. I think that the things that you say you need to take into consideration. Charles Barkley said something one time that he's not a role model, and I disagree. I disagree. If you put yourself in a position where you're a public persona and you're an entertainer or a performer, you got to know that you're leaving an impression on people. And if you're the kind of guy who's going to go out there and help mislead young people and ruin their lives, I'm not going to say what I really think other than just, shame on you. How could you do that to somebody? I'm almost 50 now. I've watched so many people live and die in this business, and it's sad. I've taken really good care of myself. My drug use is infamous, but everybody was doing it. I'm just the only one who talks about it. How about all the guys that were blue in bathtubs full of ice in Los Angeles back in the 80s? I was never one of those guys. I can tell you right now that if you have a family, they have to suffer at the expense of the world. Some guy that was going to school with my son had watched the Behind the Music thing. And, you're talking about stuff and you're not thinking about the repercussions of what you say and how far-reaching they are. But, the kid is yelling at my son in the bus saying, "Your dad's a crackhead." And the kid lived in my neighborhood, and I was going to go to his house and beat his dad senseless in front of him just to show him what a cracked head looks like. But then I thought, you know what, you're letting your anger get to you. This is part of who you used to be, and that kid has got issues of his own. And I'm thinking, what's making this kid do this to my son? So we looked into it a little bit more. The guy's from a broken family, going through a divorce, and his little life was ruined too. So, all I could feel was sorry for him. And then you end up praying for the little kid, and who knows where he is right now. He may be smoking crack for all I know. But that happened, and then there's something else that's going on right now with just stuff that's being said about us, and good, bad, and indifferent. My daughter saw it, and she's a really decent little girl, and the guy that has been saying this stuff better never cross my path. That's all I gotta say. Family's sacred. At the end of the day, when you're in a band too, it's almost like an extended family where you can't get any closer to four people. When you're in a band, unless you have sex together, and that was something that was prevalent in the 80s and 90s, and where people would do all that kind of stuff, and it's not the same anymore. First off, it's dangerous, and second off, it's just. You do anything, you're looking. We're in such a litigious society right now. Look at this football player. Dude, do you think a person with that kind of money would